69th annual Detroit NAACP Fight for Freedom Fund dinner is going to take place on May 19th at Huntington Place in downtown Detroit. Now, this year's theme is Preserving Sweet Liberty, Defeating Bitter Tyranny. President Joe Biden is going to deliver the keynote address at a time when we face critical issues in this country and abroad. I talked with Detroit NAACP President Rev. Dr. Wendell Anthony about the event and the decision to have a sitting president deliver the main address. The President of the United States coming to Detroit for the NAACP Freedom Fund dinner. I don't think it gets any bigger than that.
It really doesn't, Stephen. And, coming to Detroit, we're the only unit, the only branch in the country that has ever hosted a sitting or a post-president at our Freedom Fund dinner. I mean, that's quite a tribute to Detroit and to the branch and to all the people that worked so hard to put it together. I mean, it's not an easy thing to have the president to come to your house for dinner. That's not easy. And when one considers all the things that's going on in the world, and for him to slice this time and to come to Detroit to be a part of the NAACP Freedom Fund dinner is quite a tribute. So I thank all the people that have helped and all the volunteers, staff, everybody that's made it happen. He came here in 2015 as vice president, and now he comes in 2024 as president. So that's quite a coup.
Yeah. And this is not the first time you've had a sitting president, right? Didn't Clinton come during his presidency?
Yes, we've been blessed. The first vice president that we had was Al Gore. And you might remember we had the Oklahoma bombing at that time, Timothy McVeigh. And Al Gore was a speaker, and people were charged up to see him, and he was delayed 5 hours because of that bombing. But half of the people stayed to wait him. 5,000 people still stayed at the dinner at that time. So we've had Al Gore. We've had Bill Clinton twice. We had him once as president, once as he came back post-president. We've had Senator Barack Obama a year before he became president. We had Kamala Harris a year before she became president, Vice President Biden, and now president. We had Hillary Clinton twice. We've had all kind of cabinet members. So I think we got a record in terms of Detroit, in terms of keynote speakers. And the interesting thing, Stephen, I had to share this with you. When I was running for president in 92 and in 93, I won because they canceled an election. You know the hell that went through that with Wendell Anthony as a potential candidate president. It was said, now, if Wendell Anthony becomes president of the Detroit Branch NAACP, who are we going to get to come to the Freedom Fund dinner? That was it. Who is going to come to Detroit for the dinner if this militant, this person who did not come up the way we can, who is going to come? Well, the answer is presidents.
2 presidents, right? That's right. Yeah, so, that's really good.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
So, the president is spending more time in Michigan than he did before, and certainly before more than Hillary Clinton did in 2016. Because this is such a critical state, talk about what's at stake in this election right here in Michigan and in Detroit.
Well, it's no secret that Michigan is a swing state, and Detroit is important. African Americans are important. And also, Stephen, we're not going to not notice the elephant in the room. This is the highest assembly of Arab Americans outside the Middle East right here. Dearborn is right next door. And we know the issue of Gaza. If anybody can understand the pain that comes out of Gaza, that our Arab brothers and sisters feel as Black people. We know pain. We've been there. We've had Tulsa. We've had all the deaths, the 100 years of lynchings. We've had the Middle Passage. We know discrimination. We know all the shootings randomly and unrandomly by police. We know that. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to convince us of the pain. We went through all of that, and we are still going through it. But by the same token, we have issues on the table, issues of healthcare, issues of economic access and development, issues of infrastructure and jobs, issues of training and workforce development, issue of HBCUs and the reduction of loans for colleges, women's rights, and their right to choose. So all of those are issues that are on the table for us and for them too. Yeah. And if you're not careful, you may wind up getting more than you bargained for, because there's another fellow who's talking about having the largest deportation of Black and brown people, which also will include Arabs, outside in the history of the nation. Project 2025, which is real. Yeah. I want to be a dictator the first day that I get in office. I want to change the whole context of the federal government. That's on the line. So I think that when one looks at what's at stake, it's very important. The NAACP, as you know, Stephen, we don't endorse politicians or partisan folk. We have Democrats, we have Republicans, we have independents, we have some folk who don't know what they are. That comes to our event. That's a part of it. We endorse policies, not a P. It's not a D or an R and I. It's a P. This is what your policy is. And so if the policies don't fit, you got to quit. Yeah. And so it's the bottom line here for us.
Yeah. So when you think about, I've had a lot of conversations with African Americans in the last couple of months about this election and what's at stake and what they want to do. There's this sense that that Joe Biden hadn't done enough for Black people, and particularly for Detroit. What do you say when you hear that? I know you hear the same things. What do you say to those folks?
I hear it all the time. Kamala Harris, Vice President, was just here and announced $100 million in terms of economic development, small business loans, small business training, manufacturing jobs, cybersecurity, some stuff that we ain't never had before. The president, in terms of policies and record, has moved to reduce billions of dollars in college loan debt. He would have done more. The Supreme Court blocked him. The other folk don't want him to do that. Healthcare is being expanded under this administration. I'm simply saying that they're not trying to offer you gold gym shoes with red bottoms on them. They're not saying, look at me, I'm in prison, and because I can relate to y'all because you've been in prison, buy my t-shirt and support me. There are real policies at stake here. People need to look deeper and to really ask themselves, are you better now? Really, if you want to ask that question, are you better today than you were 4 years ago when 1 million people died because of the pandemic? When you were told to use bleach, to use it in your body to get rid of it, when science was mitigated and said we don't want to use science? Are you better off today with all the banning of the books that come from education? Are you really going to consider people that want to enhance your education, want to expose you? Our freedom and our democracy is on the line. Are you with folks who want to expand the vote, who want to increase it? The George Floyd Policing Act has not yet been ratified and signed into law. The administration wants to do that. The other people don't want to do that. The John Lewis Voting Advancement Act still has to be ratified and signed into law. The other folk don't want to do it. These people do want to do it. What the heaven do you want? Check it out for you. Don't take my word. Look at the record. And when you look at the record, it speaks for itself. Don't go for the okie doke. You can go for somebody who's sitting in the courtroom right now trying to defend himself against fraud and the misuse of money as he tried to hide his involvement with a porn star as opposed to somebody who's opening up infrastructure, who's creating jobs, and who's doing the business of the presidency, rather than somebody who's theorizing about what a presidency might be under his raggedy leadership. Yeah. I'm just saying.
So you mentioned the George Floyd Policing Act, the John Lewis Voting Advance Act. If Biden had focused on those things in the early part of the administration, when he had majorities in both houses, you think he'd be having to make this case now to African Americans? I mean, isn't it that we didn't get those things that has some people upset?
I think that might be, but keep in mind, it's not that he didn't try to bring it to the table. He's fighting against folk that don't want to deal with it. Mm-hmm. Mitch McConnell and his crew did not want to bring to the table and to support these bills, these laws. It's just like Barack Obama tried to get Merrick Garland on the Supreme Court 2 years prior to the election. Mitch McConnell and the Republicans blocked it. I'm not here as a spokesperson for Joe Biden. I'm here as a spokesperson for Wendell Anthony and the NAACP and what we need and what we must have program-wise and policy-wise for our people. And that is the policies that we see emanating from this president. Quite frankly, if the other fella gets in, it's all off the table because they ain't trying to expand nothing. They ain't not for voting rights. As you recall, in 2013, Shelby versus Holder, Section 5, part of that was gutted to the degree that they support that. They don't want to expand this. 400 bills are all over the United States in terms of bills potential. Do you know, Stephen, that of the 10 poorest states in the United States of America, 9 of them are so-called red states.
Yes.
They're in the South. Mississippi, Kentucky, Louisiana, the Dakotas, Arkansas, red states. Where they're supporting this stuff, they are the poorest educationally, health-wise, job-wise in the country. You mean you want to bring that to Michigan and New York and DC and Atlanta? Come on, y'all.
Yeah. All right, Reverend Wendell Anthony, of course, we're out of time. I know
can't be finished.
Feel like you don't have enough.
I mean, the dinner is the 19th. We're awarding Senator Debbie Stabenow, President's Award, Freddie Haynes, Freedom and Justice. We're awarding Spain Middle School for their winning in terms of robotics. We're awarding the Renaissance High School for their winning in terms of being innovative and being the top high school in the nation, not just in Detroit, but in the nation for the kinds of programs that they have. We're bringing our students in. Detroit is a city of winners. Yeah. We're not losers, we're winners. And we're bringing in Clark Cummings before that for Freedom Weekend, the first African-American serving as president of Communication Workers of America, May 17th at Fellowship Chapel. Go to DetroitNAACP.org or call 313-871-2087 to get your table. Don't be square, be there.
That's right. And we'll put all that information on our website as well. And
Thank
congrats.
You,
congrats for me for, keeping Detroit in the spotlight. It's a big deal.
Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate you, man. You've been with me all this time. And so we've been here before. Thank you, man.
I'm impressed. All right. Thanks for being here.